Hello, everyone. I wanted to welcome you all today to this brown bag lunch session. Thank you so much for inviting me here to the Culinary Institute of Virginia. Just a little bit of background on myself. My name is Jennifer Hoffman, and I'm a consultant with Learning Strategies Incorporated, and I was contacted by your Human Resources and IT department in order to work with you on thinking of some new strategies to incorporate technology into your training and your learning here at the Culinary Institute. So thank you again so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking some time to listen to how we might move forward with our shared vision for your organization for the next 5 to 10 years. I've worked with several organizations that have been trying to figure out ways to incorporate technology into the learning they're offering. And some of my examples today, you'll see some previous clients that I've worked with on with some goals that are similar to yours. So I've created a PowerPoint here, so we'll kind of move along and move through this, which will help kind of guide our conversation today. And I'll definitely have some time at the end for questions or comments that you might have based on everything we talk about today. So basically the goals of our conversation today are just what direction we are going to take. What is our strategy for the next 5 to 10 years and even further down the line to position your organization as one of the leaders in the field of culinary training. We want to talk again about the goals that you have for the future and what is effective training and learning and how can we use technology to help our training become more effective. So what we're going to do is an audience analysis. So this is one of the first steps that we want to take when we start to think about changes in our training methods. So in our case, we want to define our audience, we want to define the learners. Who are we trying to reach out to with our changes and with adding this technology component to our training and our learning? And most of the students here at the Culinary Institute are full and part-time students. I believe the majority, based on my conversations with some of the academic advisors, are part-time students at the Culinary Institute. They're often busy working adults with families and or full-time jobs. Most of them have both. A lot of them are working in kitchens, so they're here trying to get more training to move up in their positions or become head chefs at restaurants. So oftentimes it's difficult for them to fit the learning and training into their schedule. So we're kind of focusing a little bit more on flexibility here for these learners. They demand flexible course schedules so that they can come and take their cooking classes in the mornings and then get to their jobs at night. And another thing that we need to consider here is that we have a variety of educational backgrounds with our students here. Some may not be used to the formal education environment. We have some that are high school graduates, some who've done a little bit of college. Basically, it's a mixed bag of backgrounds. We also need to consider that not everybody is going to be as tech savvy as, some of the students who've been raised on with computers and iPads and all that. So what we want to do is make sure that any new technology platforms that we introduce, that we provide sufficient training for our learners. Now, once we've looked at our audience, we know what they need, we know what they want. We want to look at our goals as a learning organization and consider our shared vision. As I mentioned, obviously, we can't make these changes overnight. We can't move our content online overnight because, first of all, we don't have the content yet. But second of all, we want to make sure that we have a strategy that will work, that will position us to be a leader in the culinary field. That's what our goals are for the next 5 to 10 years. And we're going to do this through creating a mode of blended learning with obviously the classroom hands-on component in the kitchen that will not leave because that is the foundation of what we do here at the Culinary Institute. But we want to add on an online training and learning component. We want to, again, go with a blended learning approach, which it basically says we're never going to take away the hands-on. Obviously, you're always going to be in the kitchen. You're going to have the instructors showing you new techniques and new methods, and you have to get your hands dirty, literally, doing these things in the kitchen and get the feedback from the instructors. However, there are supplemental course materials. There is a classroom component that's required for all the courses here at the Culinary Institute. So currently, depending on how many courses you're in and what courses they are, 1 to 2 days a week, there is a classroom component where teachers might go over techniques, more of the reference materials in the background that doesn't require use of the kitchen. What we would like to do is move that part online. We would like to move all of the classroom component on demand online so that students can access it anywhere, anytime. So that'll actually free up more space in our organization so we can create some more kitchen studios so that we can have more hands-on classes going on, and we won't be wasting any space or time really on the classroom component. So we just want to move to a more flexible curriculum for our students. We want to automate the process as much as we can, including exams and supplemental course materials that can be presented online. So that's the future that we see ourselves going to, that will work for our students, that will help them meet their goals, and in fact open up the Culinary Institute to a whole nother group of learners that maybe couldn't commit to the classroom and kitchen component that we currently require. So the blended learning approach, it works, and what it is exactly, the definition is any way of delivering training with e-learning. It may combine e-learning with training, on-the-job training, or many other ways to deliver information. So really what it means is it's not all online and it's not all classroom based. We're basically using the two to complement each other. And that is really the only way that we can do it here with the Culinary Institute, because as I said, you'll always need to get into the kitchen and practice the techniques and see what's going on. But we don't necessarily need to sit in the classroom on top of that. We can access all those supplemental course materials and take exams. We can do all that online. And the advantages to moving some of this content online and moving towards e-learning is that it's flexible and convenient, that it's more affordable. If we don't need the classroom component, we can actually lower the tuition rates, because the only thing that we need to focus on then is the actual technical training in the kitchens. And it's more accessible. Again, this is going to open our classes up to a whole other group of learners that maybe didn't have the time to commit to the requirements as they are today. And as we start to think about creating more and more online courses and online content, this is going to be a huge obstacle for us because there wasn't really a formal way of doing this in the future. We have teachers who might find videos on YouTube and email it to their students or post it to their course website and tell the students to watch it. However, we don't have a formal way of creating on-demand content, and we're going to try to move towards that in the future. And that's kind of a subset of this discussion, because that's a project in and of itself, depending on what type of software we decide, if we want to create these courses in-house or if we want to have a vendor help us create these. Really, we're going to be the content matter the subject matter experts, so we will be providing the content and possibly developing the courses, but we want our instructors to be aware of the fundamentals of really adult learning, because that is our audience. We are working with adults, and we are working with busy adults. So what we need to do is consider some theories of adult learning. So Malcolm Knowles was really a pioneer of the theory of andragogy, which it really applies to creating content for adult learners, whether it's online or face-to-face training. And some of his key points in his theory of andragogy were the idea of self-concept as an adult, the idea of experience, using your experience and your self-concept to help you engage and connect with what you're learning. Also, the readiness to learn based on your needs. You want the learning to meet a specific need that you have. In our case, for many, it is to exceed what they are currently obtaining career-wise. They want to become a head chef. They want to open their own restaurant or open their own catering business. Learning is also for adults often problem-centered. Again, another example here would be, I want to become a pastry chef. However, I don't know the foundation of pastry making. I need to solve that problem, and learning at the Culinary Institute can do that. Adults also need to be internally motivated. They need to have a reason for engaging in this learning. There's something deep within them that makes them want to continue the process. Because as I said, we're dealing with busy adults. There has to be a reason that they want to struggle through full-time jobs, being a mother, a father, and sitting here in classes and learning this new material. No one's really making them be here. And last but not least, they always need to know why they need to know something. If an adult doesn't see knowledge as valuable or useful to them, they're not going to engage with the content, and they're not going to be interested in learning it. So these are all things that we want to focus on as we move towards creating the online component of our blended learning model. And again, I will be here through the process as we start to kind of create some of these new content, these new courses. And I'll be working with some of our instructors here on some introductory courses that will start incorporating technology and making these on-demand courses. And we'll make sure that we incorporate these fundamental principles in that process.